Thanks for staying with us. All right, so we're going to start with the punch. 208 court cases threaten APC convention. Buni fights back. Picture here of PDP plans peace panel over Edo crisis eyes 2023 victory. Arrested BRT driver ripped me inside bus, says victim presents evidence. Oshu Babayemi vows to fight on PDP recognizes Adeleke. Police tighten security as MC Oluomo dares NURTW, withdraws members. Oyo Shots markets roads for Balogun's coronation as Olubadan today. Jet A1 Airlines alleged racketeering. NCAA may ground planes soon. And FG seeks U.S. funding for gas supply to Europe amid Russia boycott. And workers must sack self-centered professional politicians in 2023, says NLC. Okay, which story are we taking? Human interest, go ahead.
So another lady has come out in what I believe strongly is the truth to say that, you know, the driver that killed Bamishe also, allegedly killed Bamishe, also raped her, allegedly. And she's adding a piece of evidence to it. So she said she had boarded the bus from somewhere in Aja to Jakonde, and in between the distance, the two destinations, he parked in a very desolate corner, put off the lights in the bus, left the AC running, asked her to come forward to the front of the bus, and then he used some form of aphrodisiac on himself and attempted to have sex with her, which she refused. And then he threatened her with a knife, dragged her in the bus, and forcefully had sex with her. Not only that, he insisted on dropping her at her destination, which she had initially boarded the bus for, and said that, you know, he also would like to give her something for painkillers. And she refused. Before all of that, he had already taken hold of her phone. So she knew that she was in serious, dangerous situation. She had to give in. So she gave him his account, her account, sorry, and he sent her 3,000 naira. Now, this is the way this plays out in criminal crimes. So what he is probably giving that as evidence for is to establish a transaction between them. So that at the end of the day, we say, no, but it was sex for money. I paid you 3,000, you know. And this poor girl now said she was encouraged by what she saw and a friend who took her to a human rights group to talk about what she had experienced. And, you know, she's coming out. She also went to her bank to print the bank statement to show that that money was also sent to her account, which she attached to it. But the police spokesperson, CSP Adekunle Adishebutu, says the victim should make a formal report. I agree she should, but as part of evidence of investigating what happened to Bamishe, can you please take this piece of evidence?
Of course. I seriously doubt they wouldn't. I seriously doubt they wouldn't, because everybody is, there's a lot of emotions out there. You know. And the governor himself has said it. Even the Attorney General has said it. So I seriously doubt they would not take this kind of evidence. I don't think it's us that will tell them to.
This response to journalists is discouraging. You know, this is why some victims will not just want to come out. But now that she's bold enough, she's spoken to a human rights group. This is a crime you can find. Encourage her to come out.
I seriously doubt
you've gotten a witness.
Let's
say that.
Okay.
Make a formal report.
On Thursday, the wife of the former Minister for Aviation, Mr. Femi Fani Kayode, his estranged wife, her name is Precious Chikwendu. We know of their issues that have come online. So she was arraigned before the High Court in Abuja for charges on what they call bordering on cyber crime. And she pleaded not guilty to the charges. The prosecuting lawyer said that they should please remand her in prison until time for the case. But her lawyer was like, this makes no sense. He says this is, in fact, he said this is funny that she had been granted bail. She has never done anything to jeopardize that, and so why would they be asking to remand her in prison? This is really scary that, you know, a domestic issue has gone this far.
Cybercrime.
We'll see.
So the federal government on Thursday is calling on the United States government to support Nigeria with funds to develop Nigeria's natural gas resources so as to serve as alternative source of gas for Europe. So this is as a result of the war between Russia and Ukraine, and they're saying that Nigeria has the capacity to supply, to be an alternative source of gas to Europe, but the problem we have is that of infrastructure, and so they are asking for funds so that the US can fund Nigeria with infrastructure to get the gas going so that we can supply them. We can be an alternative source for them. They also mentioned some statistics here. They said we can complete, there's a project, okay, we have already kickstarted the AKK gas pipeline project, and if we have the required funding, we can complete that project in 2 years. Nigeria has over 206 trillion standard cubic feet of natural gas reserves and unproven reserves of 600 cubic feet. So if they are able to, sponsor and give money for that, we can provide gas. There was no mention of providing gas for the needs of Nigerians. It's just being an alternative source of income. US, on the other hand, is saying that, okay, this cooperation will likely work, but we need to sit down so that we understand the areas of focus. This is likely going cap in hand again. We need to be very clear on what we want to achieve. And some of the things, we've had issues with oil, the oil exploration in some parts of Nigeria, where over and over those places are left in deplorable state and nothing is done. We keep hearing we are sending money to heads and all of that. This one again that we have started, we need to be clear on what is expected of the US if they finally give us these funds.
Okay. So, I took a story where Ali Waba was talking about the fact that they wanted to seize power from these politicians. Well, he's not relenting on that. He's insisting that in 2023 is the year to retire politicians who see politics as an end and not a means to serve the people. According to him, that these Nigerian politicians have only demonstrated great talent in serving themselves and their families. And he's saying that, and he was talking to, I think it was at an event where he was talking to comrades, his fellow comrades, saying that the job of fixing our country cannot be left to the professional politicians. I say so because in the last 20 years, the current democracy obviously has suffered from them. So, obviously, he's insisting that they have the numbers, they have the power to overthrow the current system, and they're saying that they're appealing to civil service, the pensioners, although they say they have about 40 million of them, and they're saying that they can actually seize power from the current politicians that we have today. Moving on quickly now to The Nation. Boni Malami Emefiele to confer with Buhari in UK. JAM won't extend UTME registration. PDP's next meeting to hold March 15th. 11 killed in Kaduna Benue bandits, gunmen raids. Lagos suspends NURTW activities. Umahi begs judge gets order to stay, and excitement as Olubadan is installed today. Okay?
Banks suspend ATM and PoS transactions quickly. All deposit banks have announced that, it announced temporary suspension of overseas ATM and PoS transactions abroad. They say that this is due to the scarcity of dollars and challenges faced by manufacturers and real sector operators in sourcing foreign exchange from the economy. I got an email from my bank as well. Some of the banks that sent emails to their customers are Zenith, GT Bank, First Bank, Stanbic, IBTC, Standard Chartered, and all of them are asking customers to find alternative. Additionally, they are saying monthly card spend limits on their on the web used to be $100. Now they've reduced it to $20, and they're asking customers to now use the alternative of domiciliary accounts and all of that to avail, their self of this. I don't understand how to respond to scarcity is to stop card transaction, but I don't know mass.
You don't know mass.
So, it's CBN, of course. But I don't think that if this is not relieving manufacturers, it's not aiding their businesses. What's the further hardship on the common man?
So the Ebonyi State Governor has apologized to Justice Iyang, Eko of the Federal High Court in Abuja, for attacking him. So we remember the case where the governor and his deputy were sacked from their office because they had cross-carpeted from PDP to APC, and also the lawmakers in the state that had defected from PDP to APC. And in response to that judgment, the governor had accused the judge of being a hatchet man and said that the judgment was purchased. So the NBA had called out the governor, and the judge had also asked for an apology to be made, and the governor came out and he apologized, and this apology has been accepted. He says that in line with our demands, His Excellency Engineer Umahi addressed a cross-section of Ebonyi State citizens where he unreservedly apologized for his comments, clarified his intentions, and very importantly, to call for calm from his supporters. So I brought this up because it's important to highlight respect and disrespect of the office, the judiciary, and that's one of the things that we see plays where the judiciary would say something and the executive would sit on it or not carry it out. Right. But now that was so disrespectful, his response, and now he's apologized for it and maybe expressed himself better. And that's what we're telling all Nigerians: learn to express yourself better so you don't have to eat humble pie in front of everyone. Let me go on a quick break now. When we come back, we continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. All right, so we're still reviewing The Nation. This had a story.
The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, said it will not extend the 2022 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination and direct entry. And they said because when this sort of exam is about to happen, there's always a time slot that is given to the agencies. What happens is all the examining bodies will meet, have a roundtable meeting, and then they are given a specified date for the examinations, which must be strictly adhered to. And so they are saying that for this particular one, the registration is scheduled to end March 26th. It's starting February 19 to March 26. And why they are making this sort of announcement is because they notice that a lot of people are not registering as they are supposed to register. That after these 2 weeks, there's no other time that will be given for registration. So if you're interested in registering for UTME, go ahead now.
So there's a story that caught my attention in The Nation is the RCCG has set up a directorate for members nursing political aspirations. So they're saying that the essence of this directorate is to help coordinate the engagement of their people who are willing to get involved in politics, as well as mobilize support for them towards that. So, I mean, that's good news for those of you in the church. And I think most other churches should do the same, where they have a directorate to support members who are running, and even mosques too, so that we know that you're getting support from your religious foundation. It's a good thing.
Really? On the face of it, maybe, but, we don't want church to be too involved in politics.
Church started politics. They're the governors. They're church mosques. They must.
I understand that,
they have to get involved.
I don't think about getting, I don't know.
Okay, let's move on to Daily Sun. APC freed from Yahoo governor, says Akeredolu. Insecurity, we can no longer run from community policing, says Fayemi. Headers kill 6 in Benue, gunmen kill 2 vigilantes, and abduct 4-year-old school girl. Lagos begins publications of details of convicted sex offenders. Catholic bishops express concern about new electoral act. 30,000 insurgents, families surrender in Northeast. Umahi, deputy gets court nod to remain in office. Okay? And Soludo Praise Obiano says governors served. I mean, you read that story?
No.
Okay.
No. So the chairman of Nigeria's Governors Forum and governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi, mentioned during a panel discussion on security situation across states organized by the NGF in partnership with the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, has said that community policing is the way to go. However, there must be collaboration between the mainstream security agencies and the community security agencies. He said, for instance, Amoteku is achieving quite a lot in his state, and it's doing this because there's this collaboration with local intelligence, and they're seeing results. That there's always this abuse, speculation that there will be an abuse of power if we have community policing, but that should not be the focus, because you remember that even as he's sitting, I think as a governor in 2014 during elections, with his immunity, he was abused by the police. So police can use, whether it's the federal police, it's the state police, abuse can always happen. The only thing we need to work towards is building a form of institution that will deter this sort of abuses from happening. But we need community policing as well as mainstream media agencies to be able to curb the issues of our insecurity.
Who has sex offenders?
Yes, Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, headed by Mrs. Titilola Vaivadeni as Executive Secretary, has issued their press release that all sex offenders will be have their names published now in line with Section 42 of the DSVA law that empowers the agency to publish sex offenders. And he says it's also in line with the governor's zero tolerance to all forms of sexual and domestic violence within the state. They said that this is, of course, to curb the impunity that makes and serve as deterrence to those criminally inclined people who think they can get away with it. And in line with that, they published the name of 2 people, Benga Olasukomi and Basiru Obashekere. Those are 2 people already convicted to life sentence in Lagos State for sexual offenses, of course. I must commend them. And I think that they should have a temporary sexual offender register like they do in Abuja, where people are waiting. Like Ominikoro, for instance, people undergoing prosecution presently will have their names also. It can be removed after acquittal.
Okay. All right. So for those of us that are excited about Anambra's new governor and the new incoming administration, yesterday was the final commendations ESCO meeting yesterday they had it at the International Convention Center. And the outgoing administration was there to obviously welcome the new administration, which is led by the incoming governor, Governor Soludo. But he was there to commend the work of the past outgoing administration, saying that they want to congratulate them for Your Excellency, for the work they've done. They've served Anambra very well. And he was also there to present the Vision 2070. 2070. Yeah. It says that, and that the whole essence is where they've come to present that plan to make Anambra a smart mega city. Yes. Give Lagos a run for his money. Yeah, it can't just be one. Yeah, we all got to be winners in this country. So I'm so excited and happy that the new coming governor is coming with the Vision 2070, with right mindset, right people. I mean, so far, we're loving it, Governor Soludo. We're loving it. Okay. Moving on to Vanguard. APC crisis, Yahoo governors back in Buni. Who has this Yahoo story? Nobody took it. I wish I read it. Okay, I'll try to read it. I've been seeing it back and forth. Kebbi deputy governor recount ordeal in bandits attack. NURTW suspends Oluomo as Lagos chapter pulls out. Insecurity, we fund security more than governors. Let me take that again. We fund security more than federal government, says governors. BRT, it's hard to believe. My daughter is dead, says Bamishe's father. 123 Nigerians to arrive from Ukraine today. State of the nation, settled dispute with ASUU, Catholic bishop tells federal government. Okay, NURTW.
Yes, I do. I have that story. So the national NURTW as executive have suspended the chairman and the executive in Lagos State and asked the deputy chairman to take over the NURT business in Lagos State. I believe, and commendably, that the chairman in Lagos State acted quickly. Following the history of NURT in Lagos, I remember those days in Lasso, when Saola was killed, their usual style is fight and take over. But I love the fact that he handed over the state to the governor of Lagos State immediately, saying, take over the parks and garages so that we do not have any of such. And thankfully, we did not hear gunshots. Yes.
Interestingly,
the Constitution.
Yes.
So the NURT National is saying they're suspending him for insubordination, which the details were not given, but they said they have their suspicions.
But to add to the story, they said that there were a lot of consultations. They tried to resolve the issues, but unfortunately, they couldn't, and because of that, eventually...
They are also saying they had suspected that he was going to, withdraw from the national body. But this is, if you follow the line of events, this is not the right way to go. They suspended him before he withdrew, and they are saying they had suspected. So they acted in preemption of what happened. But thankfully, we are at peace in Lagos, because
Thankfully.
Not yet short, so not yet
Thankful. Yes, it's all right. Any other story?
About 170 Catholic bishops in Nigeria are urging the federal government to quickly and permanently settle the row with Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU. They had a conference yesterday, and they employed ASUU to sustain the talks so that they can resolve this particular dispute. They also mentioned that in our nation today, we observe that there is a non-functional, stable, quality, and affordable educational system that should be the bedrock of development. And what happens is that we have a lot of young people on the streets who, if care is not taken, they'll go into illegality because they are not in school when they are supposed to be in school. So no matter what is happening between the leadership of ASUU and the federal government, they need to come to a round table and agree so that these students can move on. They talked about electoral reforms, constitutional amendments, and every other issues that we talk about in Nigeria.
So the Minister for Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, has said that the federal government has removed all subsidies in the power sector with a plan to gradually end subsidy in the petroleum sector. They're saying that, she was saying this at a virtual event with the IMF, and she said that, you know, they had a few setbacks in the removal of the petrol subsidy that they plan to execute totally by July this year, but that for power sector has been done. You know that power sector, we said that something was happening there. And they said, no, nothing is happening there. But Madam, the authority on this herself has said that there's no longer subsidy in the power sector, so we should know what we're paying for now. And
okay.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
We have the Jet A1, that's aviation fuel. And we know all the stories of passengers lamenting cancelled flights, and NCAA, Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, saying it looks like they're going to ground flights nationwide, planes nationwide, if what they're getting is that the airlines are unable to operate, you know, their planes because of this scarcity. The Executive Director of Distribution, Storage and Retailing Infrastructure, NMDRA, has said that there's enough there's enough aviation fuel, and that is just like a group of people, there's racketeering going on, but he has evidence to prove that there is enough, you know, for it to go around and for the prices, for the planes not to be grounded. Then we have the airlines themselves who are saying that they cannot continue to subsidize the flights because just the price of aviation fuel is 70% of the operation cost already, even before the increase in the prices of aviation fuel. He said that at first, in the last 2 weeks, what has happened is unbelievable. That this is the chairman of Air Peace talking. He said from 190 per litre, it jumped to 300 naira, and from there to 450. And then when we thought that was enough, 2 days ago, it became 599. And then the following morning, we bought it for 670 naira. We cannot continue to operate this way. So this is why, you know, a lot of us are seeing the delays, the cancellations. And
the train is packed on the road.
The train is the same thing. This is not this train. You have that story. We have to run.
So the train. I'm not quoting here. Let me just narrate the story. So the train was leaving from Ibadan to Lagos, packed on the road in the middle of nowhere. And, you know, the passengers were agitated. They felt there's an attack going on because they've been having stories of a train packing, attacks coming and all that. But they realized that it was diesel that finished inside train. So it took them 2 hours before they got the diesel, the refuel. And when they were explaining, they mentioned that they've been having shortage of diesel, so they have to stop on the road and refill. Please, this is not acceptable. If you don't have enough diesel to go, don't go on the journey now.
Okay,
don't start it.
I think it's even worth talking about because listen, this is a global problem. It's not just Nigeria.
It's risky.
It's risky, but the same Nigerians that they say they cancelled the train. I was supposed to go to go.
No, if Nigerians know that they cancelled the
we
flight,
don't know diesel.
Let's go on a break. We'll be right back. Nigerians,
So difficult to.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.